My name is Ornella Gunasekera. I am 28 years old and I am a director of a party wear store. I think I would describe everyone's skin color as a composition of genetic variation based on geographical location. Let me take you back to our early years, way back when we were hunter-gatherers, Now, when we went in search of food, and those of us living close to the equator, because it was very hot, we would shed our hair. And this would expose our skin, which is our largest organ, to the UV radiation from the sun, which resulted in excess melanin production, which gave us the beautiful plethora of deep, dark, rich, vibrant colors that has made the human species. And that is how I would describe any skin color. Have I experienced any sort of different treatment based on my skin color? Well, being honest, living in Sri Lanka, having parents who have genetically different backgrounds, I felt like an alien most of my life, mostly because even though I was born here, raised here, went to school here, lived my entire life here, people don't think I'm Sri Lankan. They say, "You're too white. You look like a Russian, you look like a this, you look like a that." So I've never felt like I'm at home. I've always felt like I should probably leave the country because I don't belong here. And that has always made me feel like I'm not at home. And it's quite alienating, like I said. And it, again, had to do with my skin color. Why? Because I'm too white or too fair, or I don't fit the genetic phenotype of what people think is Sri Lankan, which is strange because today, in this day and age where we are so globalized, there's such improvement in technology, we are going places faster than ever before in the past 50 years. I mean, people are going everywhere. You can't say you're white because you're from America, or you're black because you're from Africa, or you're brown because you're from Asia. That doesn't exist anymore. I would understand if that was the mentality years before. Not today, not anymore. That mentality and mindset needs to change because I don't want to feel like an alien. Has anyone ever commented on my skin color from my family and tried to change it? Luckily, I've been one of the few in Sri Lanka who've not experienced that from a familial perspective, only because my parents had a different mindset, a healthier mindset, I would say. They always told me that my self-worth and self-image was dependent on how kind I was, how good I was to myself, and how I treated other people. And that was what my self-worth was, not my skin color. Has my skin color ever made me feel less than or affected my confidence? I sympathize and empathize with everyone who has been affected like this. Personally, like I said before, feeling alienated in your home country where you want to feel like you belong, you talk to someone and until you prove with your identity card that you belong to this country, they don't believe you. That has been sometimes it's been a struggle for me, I'm not going to lie, because I want to feel psychologically, we all want to feel like we belong somewhere. And to not feel that where you were born and raised, it can be quite debilitating. But of course, not as bad in comparison to what others have experienced. But I must say, look at our genetic variation in Sri Lanka. We have the Kafirs, which is on one end of the color spectrum. And then we have the Burghers, which are on the other end of the color spectrum. What a beautiful array of colors we have in Sri Lanka. And this genetic variation is good for us. Genetic variation is good for evolution. Why are we not appreciating it instead of discriminating and being angry about it? We need to start shifting this story and appreciating it. Have I witnessed any discrimination about skin color in my professional circle? I'm going to take you through a story back in 2018. And this was at a pageant. It's a bit of a long story, but I'm going to go through as quickly as I can, highlighting the important points. So there's a local competition called the Miss Universe Sri Lanka pageant. It is held by Rosita Vikramasinghe, who is an amazing woman, I have to say. And she is the one who stood by my decision, which I will tell you what happened later on. And there was another production company who was run by Sangeeta Viraratna, and that's another story. So just remember these two people, because what happened next is part of the story. So Sangeeta hired another company who ended up being the main sponsors, called Fascia. Now, Fascia has a lot of beauty products. They have night creams, eye creams, day creams, foot creams, any cream you can think of, they have it, right? And they also have skin whitening creams and pills that you can take to bleach your skin. And for this pageant, being the main sponsors, they had a presentation. And the lady started her presentation and she said, raise your hand if you want to be confident, if you want to be white. No one raised their hands. And then she said, are you not being honest with yourself? Come on, and you're trying to go for Miss Universe and you don't want to admit that you want to be white? I'm ashamed of you guys. How can you not even admit this? Raise your hand now if you want to be white. One contestant did raise her hand. The rest of us were confused at what was happening. That was not even the worst part. She then continued, you know those N-words? And that was when I was like, this did not just happen. She actually used the N-word. By the way, just to let you know, this was being filmed for local television, for all of the island to watch and witness and listen to. Just imagine the repercussions, right? Anyway, so we were going through and then she said, now there are two girls, and she then pointed out to Alma and Vasana. And she said, you two are really dark. You have to take about 6 to 8 capsules, double the dose to become fair like Ornella and Natalie by the time of the competition. That's when I lost it. I stood up, I said, firstly, you can't use the N-word. Secondly, this is absolutely abhorrent behavior. And then another lady came in, she dashed the products. If you don't want our products, then you can leave and blah, blah, blah. By the way, being contestants, we had already received training. So leaving the pageant now, we would have to pay 500,000 Sri Lankan rupees. I was fine with that because I was not going to compromise on my ideals and somebody else being ridiculed and ashamed, made to feel bad because of how they were born. And Alma and Vasana, I am so sorry for how they made you feel that day. And to anyone else who's been discriminated by companies like Fascia for profit making, I really apologize. And Fascia should be making an apology to them, is what I personally believe. That aside, anyway, we were taken to a side and everyone tried to calm everyone down and then asked, what happened? And I said, I'm leaving this pageant. I don't believe in this. Miss Universe does not believe in this. And I'm pretty sure I know a bunch of people who will also stand by me. Natalie said the same, and a bunch of other girls said, we're all leaving this pageant. Then they realized, okay, something really is going on here. They sat us down again, and then they said, okay, we'll restructure this whole message. They changed their slogan from Bayanathuwa Suduwenna to Bayanathuwa Pahapathwenna, which is somewhat of an improvement. And then they restructured the whole thing to say, okay, you can take these pills and become a healthy glowing skin, not whitening. And they restructured and re-recorded the entire presentation. So that was the discrimination that I witnessed. To all those who are facing and have faced discrimination based on something that our ancestors went because they were hungry in search of food, firstly, I am sorry for everything you've been through. And what I believe is this culture, it is a culture. And I know people just throw this word around, right? But what is culture? It's behaviors. It's patterns of behaviors, repeated patterns of behaviors. Now, everyone knows the message. Everyone knows, don't do this, don't do that, stop doing this. People are committing suicide because of this. People are doing that because of this. People are losing. We all know the message, but what are we doing as an action? The culture has to change. And it starts with the young people. You need to tell your parents. If they're telling you something, change the narrative. If someone wants to hire you or not hire you because your skin color, you leave them. You don't need that job. If someone's not marrying you because of your skin color, tell them to take a hike. You don't need people like that. Shut them down. Change the narrative. shut those people down, and that's how we change the culture. Once you change the behavior, once you change the repeated patterns of behavior, we will change this culture.